Okay, so now you spent a lot of time in the Hollywood milieu. And so I've got two questions for you. It's like, what do you think was the difference? What do you think the difference is between you, let's say, and your decision to remain sane and the decision that 95% of the people in Hollywood took to become insane liberals, really much to their own detriment? Like, my sense is, you tell me what you think about this, I think the Hollywood liberals killed celebrity culture.
They did. Well, if you just look, that's a very good question. It's going to take some explaining. If you just take a look at the audience, and I just disregard the fact that the media is now fractured, is a fraction of what it used to be, and that there's many more opportunities and more options for people. Let's just put that aside. You used to have the Academy Awards. 100 million Americans, when there was only 200 odd million people in America, they would all watch the Academy Awards.
And happily. And everyone was thrilled to do it.
And we would bet and say, well, I would win. And most of the times you were right, like, because there was a movie that clearly was the best film, whether it was Patton or Match or whether it was, Gandhi. You would know. And there was a power to it because they seemed to be the greatest filmmakers in the world, the greatest, most artistic people. Because Hollywood was a very interesting thing. What happened was the greatest filmmakers ended up in America because there was World War I, and people, obviously filmmaking couldn't happen during a war, and World War II. So you had the safety for creative, whether it was Billy Wilder coming over here, from Hungary. You had the greatest filmmakers, their escape and the place to create was Hollywood. And so that's what happened. But you had, so this was everything. We had it all. And then what happened was they started making these decisions, all you have to do is go back and look at to a couple of years ago, the decision, you cannot win an Academy Award unless you have 40% LGBTQ, unless you have people, a certain percentage of color, the crew is this. And here's what you never hear from a 14-year-old, which is, those are the people who go see more movies than anybody else. Let's go see that new movie this week. I hear it's got 20% LGBTQ trans, and the boom guy was Native American.
Yeah, right.
So you became this identity politics, and this other thing became more important than the actual craft itself. And that got into the bottom line. I mean, it really did. It affected people to where people don't want to go.
Thank God for capitalism.
Yeah, thank God for that. I mean,
because greed is self-correcting. Seriously,
it is.
It's a very reliable ethos. Greed, like, it is not the highest form of morality by any stretch of the imagination, but it's predictable and it's self-correcting. Right? If I know you're motivated by money, we could work together. Right? I mean, I could imagine there would be circumstances under which that might not go so well for me, but most of the time I can predict exactly what you're going to do.
We could find a place where we can agree on something that's beneficial to both of us.
Yeah, right. We could agree that we both want to make money.
But when you have a big corporation like Disney, who I did movies for, and I worked for years for Disney, when we have to, as parents of an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old now, we have to watch the movie first before we can allow our children to watch it, just to make sure that there's not any woke nonsense, any indoctrination geared to our children. That is really telling.
When does Snow White come out? Right, it's soon.
They delayed it for 2 years.
I know, and it's going to fail cataclysmically.
I think so too. I think people
I watched some of the previews. It's ugly as sin. Like, the animation is this is one of the things that's so interesting about woke illustration in particular. There is nothing uglier than woke illustrations. They're so talentless. It must be the fact that the people without talent rely on their political credibility to advance.
Maybe,
right?
and also
because their talent alone won't do it.
Well, and it's also because they're not doing something from a creative outburst of inspiration and joy. They're doing it to prove a point or something. Yeah,
well, the postmodern types don't believe in inspiration, right? They only believe in power. Like, seriously. And so all that inspiration stuff, that's merit, that's just another, offshoot of European imperialism, that whole idea, seriously.
To get rid of.
Seriously.
It's in the way, it's an encumbrance. So, but Hollywood was founded on not paying people. And that's why I have faith that it will come back. Hollywood was founded on avoiding paying people. For instance, when Edison had the patent, he didn't have it on the film camera, but he had it on the projector. So Edison owned the rights to the projector, and he had these the patent rights. So when he never actually foresaw the movie business. He really thought, he was actually ahead of the movie business. He saw the film camera as something for families to do and for individuals to do. But before that happened,
right.
Many, many years before that, the film business just kind of blossomed, blew up in New Jersey. And so you had these people now who are making these movies and making an incredible amount of money that they never could have imagined. You had 1,500 seat theaters, 1,500 people coming in, and this new medium. You have to understand you had the only entertainment in New York City at the turn of the century was newspapers. Really, you had 18 daily newspapers in New York City. Maybe you had some vaudeville, but that was it. There was no TV. So film coming in, this new medium was just outrageous and an incredible escape for people. And so they would go and flock to these movie theaters, fill them up, and they would try to keep them there all day. They would have an organist beforehand, and they would show several movies, and they would sell popcorn and candy and God knows what else in there. But they also had to pay Edison his patent fee. And they didn't do that, and they didn't want to give that money. And so Edison had this thing called Edison's Goons. And Edison's goons would have to go into the movie theater and go into the place and slap them around and collect this patent money, this money that was owed to Edison. So the only reason that Hollywood was the place, that the destination for the film owners and the film moguls was to get away from Edison's goons so they didn't have to pay people. So Hollywood's traditionally, the foundation of Hollywood is not paying anyone or paying people who rightly deserve to be paid. And that's tradition they've kept up very well.